Mowgli is from Jungle Book.
I don't know if that's the boy or the bear.
Speaking of, my hip feels like I fell in ice. So.
All right, so you're kind of tuning into the form. You're tuning into the Form First podcast. I think it's number 22, 23, something like that.
It's in the 20s. I think it's 23.
So, I mean, you only taught 2 classes today, right?
Yeah.
Not only, but I taught, I think, 4 or 5. Kathy had a few. There was a ton of demonstrating in today's workout. One with Gregorian, Tux, people don't all know. Yeah. Reverse Pouncer, that was the big one. Mm-hmm.
I was first class of the day. I was 5 minutes behind starting because I was doing it all beforehand, which is super.
Did you go over the extra 5 minutes to get your score, or no? Or did you keep it like at 55?
What do you mean?
So if you were 5 minutes behind, you were explaining it and you were 5 minutes behind.
We didn't start till 5:35.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you started everybody and then you started 5 minutes behind everybody.
No,
okay.
I didn't even notice at first. Everyone was here on time, and then it was, what's this? So what's this? How do I do this? What about this?
The expanding mountain was cool.
Yeah.
And then once you got to the mountain 3, that I was ready for it the second time I taught the class, because I'm like, all right, they're going to have all these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, you got Reverse Pouncer, Gregorian, and No Gimmies were definitely all 3 asked in a row, at least by...
No Gimmies, everybody asked.
Everybody, yeah.
And it's just like any of them. It's like a long-winded answer, because it can't be like, hike it to line number 2. If you get there, like, there's no way fast.
You almost want to just like walk with them while they're doing it,
yeah.
you know. That way you can help, you know. You can let them know if they hit it or not, and then tell them what to do next. But
that's funny. And some people, I'm like, it's like golf, you know. Just try to get it on the line. If you get it past,
you're just asking for a headache.
Yeah. So, but needless to say, I'm pretty wiped out just from teaching all of them.
Oh, and then I'm sure you demoed Reverse Growler, which isn't awkward at all.
You know, but today served its purpose. Like, I went slower and like really paid attention, and it helped me.
Yeah, that was the thing too. I told people to start staggered with their hands. That helps, just because it's an awkward feeling to get started. But this this helped, and really emphasizing before we even started about lifting your hands, shifting the weight, and not dragging them beforehand really made a difference on that checklist box.
Well, I know that's what we're highlighting. We highlighted today and tomorrow, or if you're watching this today. It's supposed to be like a push off. Like, I was telling somebody today, like, think of having like 2 lower bodies. Like, your shoulders are also a lower body, legs pushing off at the same time on Reverse Bulldog, because I'm seeing it more and more frequently where people are just dragging. And I don't really know where that came from, but I think it's just like a security blanket. Like, I just want to make sure I don't fall. I don't want to fall on my face when I'm going. That could be it. I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I see it. I don't know what the thinking is, but when I see it going forward sometimes, I think it's just not having a grasp of the task and realizing that they should be putting their weight on their on their hands at that time.
Well, they're doing themselves a disservice and not doing the task as effectively as they really could do it.
Yeah.
Or looking side to side, and if someone else is doing it, then more people end up doing it too. But Reverse Pouncer, Reverse Pouncer and Gregorian today, I felt like I had epiphanies while I was teaching it. I was like, we need to turn this a little bit, the actual task itself.
Let me see your feet. How you were doing Gregorian. I don't care.
So this, all right, let's do Gregorian. And I was teaching things today that I don't think are obviously in the task description, and that's something we should talk about, like changing things on the fly.
Yeah.
But so squonk, and I was behind the line a little bit. No, they can't see me. It doesn't matter.
Well, we can just use my hands.
Yeah, so we can't even move. Whatever. Can't crawl like
It's the feet that are.
So I was doing like squonk.
Yeah. Karate Kid.
And then what I was telling everybody is shoulder and elbow inside the front knee, crawl out, and I was lifting the foot, which a lot of people didn't know about.
Yeah.
I set it down briefly, and then I lifted it back
So
up.
meeting the feet,
And then I was here.
squat, stand up. Now, my question, what I was doing with the front foot was actually bringing it back bringing it back, and then starting again each time. It's just what I was doing. I wasn't keeping it like that.
That's what you're teaching, or that's what
Yeah,
you're doing?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's not how I've taught it, but I mean, I could see that being.
It was just, I was just emphasizing the front foot point getting pointed out in the opposite way. That's all.
Well,
But-
so this is a good point. Like, we're just having an open discussion about Gregorian, and I've always taught it not that way, to step back. But you give me something to think about. Well, that may be easier for people to grasp and come back and then reset yourself and go into that.
That's what I was thinking, is a whole reset. So you're coming back, and that's the key to stand up.
Right.
Now I'm starting, because I was looking at it just like a Greco. You said you got a suggestion. You say
No, if someone gives me a suggestion,
Yeah.
or an idea to maybe make it easier to explain, or if it's just a little nuance to
Yeah.
the movement, I may implement it. And it may be a year after we've already had the task, but in my opinion, it makes it better, or it streamlines it, or makes it more uniform for everyone.
like your mongoose. I don't even know what you call it.
the change, yeah.
like that was just something.
But that didn't actually change the task.
No, it didn't change the task, but it changed the way you explained it.
Yeah.
And it didn't change the task at all, but changed the way you explained it, and then it changed the way people are doing it
The right
way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did it again today, the exact same thing we're talking about. So reverse pouncer. I've never taught it this way before, but now it's something I want to add to the description. So you bulldog forward, obviously. You jump up, but I was going straight down into this.
Yeah.
And then it was way more fluid. It was down like that.
Versus.
What everybody was doing is here, you're either hinging at the hips,
Okay.
or like stop and then squat. Why not make it fluid? Catch yourself. If you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more of a catching your breath and
Yeah.
flexibility, ability-wise.
It is.
It's hard to do that 10 times in a row, let alone.
That's true of
20.
any task, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be wrong for someone to stop straight up
No.
and then come back.
No. But, so there are task descriptions, especially the ones that are like elementary, that'll say something like, I'm out of breath just doing that.
I'm sweating. I'm just sitting here.
Well, it's pretty warm. We were complaining about it being cold a couple of months
I
ago.
know.
Now it's like hot.
I'm going to complain too. We have 2 new tasks
2 new tasks
starting
this week.
tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Or, yeah. Well, Tuesday. I guess can't really use whatever. So the dude from
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book, Mowgli. Mowgli.
So why
Mowgli.
I named it that is because it sounds like mogul to me. But sometimes it's a double-edged sword. It confuses people. Mogul, Mowgli. Is it mogul push? Is it mugger? Like,
Do you use a plate?
no plate. But I know it's a joke.
But yeah, so essentially that's just it's going to be moguls lifting your hand. I think we need a name for this.
For this,
Like Jagger hands or something.
Yeah, even paw or it looks like, I don't know.
Because I mean this is international bare hands.
It is
International.
and
Yeah.
bulldog.
Yeah.
But dude, so after coming up with Mowgli and all the other ones that we have, we can do it for every task. We can do it for enforcer. We can do it for. There's another one I was thinking of too.
Do what?
Picking up the hands.
You can't do that for enforcer.
Yes, you can.
How?
They're not gonna see it, but not enforcer. Yeah, you're right. Shit.
I was like, I'll wait. I'll wait.
That's funny. Speed skates. There you go.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. Damn you.
That's actually a better name. That's actually a better task for speed skates.
Oh, it is because it looks like an
It
extra
looks
skate.
like
Yeah,
speed
that's pretty
skating.
sweet.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's speed skating as is, I like. And I think
Me too,
I think
yeah.
people like it.
Yeah.
It's similar movement. It's different. It's it's stationary.
It is stationary. No, I like it a lot too. It feels right. It feels like smooth. But the reason why
I think it translates to skates then too.
yeah,
Like
that's true.
it's getting bigger and better strides in people's skates, which is
tippy tab, tiptoes,
exactly.
You're so right. And that one I came up with, I thought out of necessity because people were doing their forward bear crawl side to side, and so I came up with a skating bear, and then also I have a reverse one that we don't use very often, just to differentiate between the proper bear and the improper bear. But I think the point that you're really hitting is we're always able to come up with new tasks based on the way that our members do it. You know what I mean? Like what I think is great about SIPE is that we're able to adapt to the membership that's adapting itself. You know what I mean? We teach you how to do a certain exercise. Well, people are going to interpret that and do it 20 different ways. So it's up to me and us as a collective to see how these people are doing it and try to either mitigate in proper form or like nip it in the bud right away.
Yeah, and either create an entirely new task done the way a task was being done improperly.
Right.
Or create a task to make other tasks easier to do.
Accentuate like the finite movement of it. Yeah, like you were just saying with speed skates. So that's the beauty of it is that, oh, well, you know what? Let's create a task as a tool to teach a different task. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying like 9 times out of 10, we have the harder task first, and let's bring it back and devolve it and give them something easier first to figure it out.
I think a good example of that is, I can't think of the name, but it's the essentially stationary voodoo. Where
Serb, I think is.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of ridiculous at the time because I think it was introduced with a bunch of other tasks.
It was 13.
But it put a thought bubble in people's heads and made voodoo not easier, but
Wicca?
I'm sorry, Wicca. Yeah. I'm sorry. But yeah, it I think it gave people confidence doing Wicca versus seeing it like.
See, I want to use that task more often. We've only done it once, I think.
We've done it a couple times, but it was that 1 week where it was,
I would like to do that again, but
it helped me. I mean, it for sure.
See, but that brings up. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but bring up another point. You're experienced, so if we give you a task like that, you'd be like, "Oh, I get it now." Whereas someone brand new, they're not even going to know how to apply it, or like the first part of the movement. So it's interesting to hear that.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Or they might not even ever get to apply it to Wicca.
Right.
If it's so far down, unless you get unless you get a voodoo early on in a reptilian like Sparrow was on Friday.
I'm getting a lot of grief for that. I didn't realize it was going to be that hard. Like,
I mean, it wasn't that hard. There was just 5 of them. I mean, it's just a lot. Well, it was funny that people thought it was going to be a super simple ladder because they noticed that it was five things. They thought it was like a stampede, reverse stampede or something.
Well, everyone was like, "Oh, so is it like you're fluttering your wings like a sparrow, like a bird?"
It's chicken without the plate. Okay, cool.
People, I'm like, no, it's for Jack Sparrow, and then they're like, "Oh, I got it now." So,
well, and then we got the other new task is Super Trooper.
And
10, right? Is it 10?
10. It is 10. This is not like anything we created. Like we didn't create like this. The split lunge is what it is, or split squat.
Sure.
Where you're keeping like one leg out in front.
Yeah, it's essentially. We do a single leg stationary lunge.
Yeah.
Weighted lunge or whatever.
The real reason why I call it Super Trooper is because Christian that works out here. He was talking about that movie the other day and was like, "Oh, I love that movie. You ever seen it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen it before." And I don't know why that was on my head. And I was like, "Well, we can come up with a task named that because of Super Paratrooper." So, but Jen had a question about that. What?
Well, what's the description again? Description is
it's a stationary paratrooper.
One
leg in front always for all 10.
Oh, about the knee. Knee.
About the knee,
because it's
we're not
not
touching,
it's not needed or need to turn. Yeah.
There's obviously like a reasoning behind why I'm saying don't go to your knee on this task, but I think it starts off with like day one, like initiation. What is it?
forward lunge and reptilian?
The eighth exercise you're going to learn here is a forward lunge, and we teach you.
Well, I mean, learning it.
Some people are learning it, and that's kind of my point. So, do you know why we say knee to turf on day one?
Why?
It's because for years before we said any of that, people would only go halfway down. So now, day one, let's tell you to go knee to turf, because that way they're going to go the full range of motion and get down far enough. But really, it should just be like I think of like the hair on my knee, like just touching the turf, because we also don't want people like just letting go of all their weight and hitting too. So there's a fine line. You have to explain that. But the way that applies to what is it called? Super Trooper. I can see it right now. People are gonna jump and hit their knee first off, and if they're gonna rest, they're gonna rest in the down position. Mm-hmm. And a lunge is really, you're not supposed to rest at all. We just want to make sure you get enough depth. I would say that I think any lunge should be like that close to the turf without actually touching. But the easiest way to make it blanketed across every turf, touch your knee to the turf, and then explain that you're just kissing it, you're just touching it.
Yeah, there's not you can't really like K T hair H there's not a KTT just works better.
Knee to turf, and it's also kiss the turf.
Yeah.
That's what I think of too. So when I'm coming up with an exercise, or I'm going to implement an exercise, what I'll have to do is think about all the variations that are going to come of like just, I have to think in advance, like how is it going to be interpreted? Where are people going to like skip corners and try to make it like as not as simple, but like get out in front of it before anybody else actually does it. So that's what I was doing with Super Trooper. Is it's supposed to be like an iso lunge. You're going to feel much more of a burn rather if you're going to stay above the turf. If you're pulsating like 10 times on that one leg, that back quad especially is going to be on fire. But if you're touching your knee to your turf, you're briefly taking.
I was going to say you're giving just that little second of relief.
A little bit, yeah. And then you're also thinking people hitting their knees. Well, they're jumping as opposed to actually doing a lunge.
Yeah.
You know, a lunge is like a little more graceful. When people get tired and maybe sloppy, I don't want people hitting their knee on the turf. You know what I mean? How will somebody say going to your knee would be better?
I mean, I would if I'm trying to be on the other side of Super Trooper, I would say, well, if I'm doing weighted stationary lunge, which is essentially the same pulsing movement one side, and I'm touching, I would think I would be doing the same thing here.
That's a good point. So what I would say is kind of uniform, broad for everything. Is I feel like I come up with the exercises and write them in a way that everybody can do the closest thing to the proper way a lunge should be taught.
I think these telephone, if you will, interpretations happen when there is a ton of gray area and your descriptions don't help. Class to class doesn't help sometimes when we're sort of going back and forth, and then you're sort of deciding, not on the fly, but in a class, you're letting it go one way to see, switching it up, the different variation that someone brought up, or that you see, maybe that's what I thought when I first thought of this however many years ago, and then we decide, okay, this is the way it's going now. When maybe it was done 3 different ways, 3 different places.
Right.
All came from you.
See, but dude, like, this is the stuff that I need to hear because it's.
I think the perfect one is Jester, and we went through this, and we're on the same page now, even though we might not agree, but we're all on the same page though. But that's a test that there's like 3 different variations. It's 3 different interpretations of even where to start. what's fair,
Yeah.
you know, and,
Well,
and
it's an ever changing, morphing.
I mean, there's not going to be that many
Right.
variations of that task.
No, there won't. I feel like sometimes my brain's always like, all right, so where is this person doing this task, incorrectly? How can I improve it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like things like K to T, like knee to turf, it's like I'm trying to make it as simple for somebody that's like starting off doing cyclists. They don't.
Hot. It's crazy.
It's coffee too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that 900-degree
But
coffee.
you know what I mean? Like I've tried to make it so they don't have to think about how to exercise.
Sure.
Just trust us. Go bring your knee to the turf on this one.
You're thinking that there might be confusion on when to do it and when not? Is that what you're thinking?
No, because I would be saying if I were working out by that's what I was gonna say. If I were working out, that's when it went off. If I were working out by myself, no one was around, and I knew that the right way to lunge was actually just like right above touching the turf, that's the way I would do it. But I feel like if I'm gonna say it right now to everybody, the right way to do a lunge is to keep your knee right above. It's not gonna be done deep enough across the board.
Right. And I again, that's what I went back to. I think that's what the fear is on not doing it here. That's all. That's what I think.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
I we'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when we implemented Mugger and Jagger and they were just 10.
Okay.
We decided 2 more would be fine, or even changing reps like that. We'll see how tomorrow's going to answer the question,
You're right.
not this hypothetical word play. It's going to all come down to how a whole day goes with 150 people doing it, and you're going to have,
You know what we
89
need?
opinions.
We need like gesture, like you said, like a different color on the task list, but like completely verified. Like this is where it is not changing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think the form videos kind of help a little bit. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure, especially because Sunday, someone was doing 3-point stance throwing from the middle.
Yeah.
I said, hold it from the bottom. Oh, no, Mike just told me to hold from the middle. I'm like,
Did you play it on YouTube like over the
yeah.
over the loud?
Well, no,
that'd be really funny.
I'm like, okay, if he did, he wasn't awake. I go, he just posted this video 2 minutes ago.
That's funny.
He's pulling from the
oh,
left. So there's no way he would be doing 3-point stance from the middle then either. Oh, so yeah. So then I pull out the video to make you clarify
I don't
yourself.
try to be this unpredictable. I swear to God, it's not like I'm trying to be like, well, let's see what kind of wrench I can throw in this. You know what I mean?
But no, that's a perfect example of how those videos are helping.
Oh. So like today, someone was doing toes and they were holding their hands for a couple seconds, like a couple reps, and then when she came down, I was like, make sure you separate your hands. I don't know if I have that in the task description. That's such a subtle thing. I don't want to nitpick over everything, but if this person's like a student of form, I want to be like, hey, if you really, really want to do it like pristine, just make sure your hands are.
It's sort of like the ogre giving one of these.
I do that across the board now, but and I will say that St. Clair Shores, because I haven't been to the other ones in a while, but like the form has increased so much so lately. I think just from doing those little.
Well, having these themed workouts too,
Yeah.
where you are focusing on a certain aspect of what we're doing, helps big time.
So
Because they're repetitive enough where it's not boring, but it's
Right.
it's getting the point across on how to do stuff and how to move your body in certain tasks that have the same movements,
Right.
for the most part.
I think really in the last year, I'm like, all right, how do I guarantee that everyone's kind of doing it the same way? And the themed workouts like today and tomorrow are a perfect example of that. Then doing the form videos, I think what I'm trying to do is address those concerns that you and maybe other people have. But it does take time. We've got 530 some exercises, and the ones that are new, we still got to give it some time to breathe.
gotta let it breathe, yeah.
You know? Because someone's going to find a way to do Mowgli a different way, and then that's probably going to create another exercise. So it's like you got to be able to be flexible and adapt, and And I don't see it like a person. I'm saying like me, I have to be able to adapt to what I see and people's abilities, and then you effectively figure out how to explain it to them and stuff. But
And again, you won't know any of that until we have a cycle of it.
so do you
Done.
see how it's hard for me to enter in a description that's effective?
I totally can see where a horrible description is horrible from the outside when it makes complete sense to you when you're thinking about it in the moment. Okay, I got this task. I'm gonna write it down. You're not.
Well, I don't mean just that. Even if I do add a description to the site or do a form first video and I explain it, that's still going to be inadequate if it's the first time I've ever come up with a task. So Mowgli,
Well, yeah,
an example.
perfect example. Perfect example is Pablo. Okay,
Yeah.
so you do Pablo. We all got it. Boom, 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 boom. What did you see people doing Pablo?
I don't know.
They were throwing the plate, weren't they? They were letting it go early.
Oh, I was confusing that with not spikes, but whatever, like the Toro one. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the like passing Diablo.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they were throwing it quicker. Yeah, I didn't realize that until I saw it.
Exactly. That's a perfect
So-
example of that. Like you would you would never even know.
How would I know?
Known
Yeah.
that you had to address that at the
Right.
time, but then it starts. So something tomorrow's going to come up that we're not even thinking about right now.
Right.
And then it's either going to become like part of our lexicon for teaching.
Yes.
Or it's going to go in the description. But
Right.
you can't do it now.
So that's kind of my whole point is like when I come up with a task and I know I'm going to implement it, I have to think of all the ways that it could go wrong or it could go right. What's the easiest way to explain it? And then I usually type in a fairly brief description. But even if it's a little bit detailed, that still wouldn't be adequate enough because there's going to be 5 other things that should be tweaked. And then like the form video I did for just the most recent ones, like that's kind of why I say, like, you know, I'm just going to put it out there just so you guys get the idea. Let's see how it goes for the next couple months. We'll have to shoot another one. But that's how Sightless started, was by trial and error. Like, I posted something today about that.
It's going to be changing and growing, and it is what it is. It's just as long as it keeps doing that, then it's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
The reason why is because there's nothing else like this. There wasn't this before. So you can't look up. I couldn't look up in my college textbooks and be like, how is the Jagger done the right way? Well, we came up with Jagger. So.
You mean it's not in your loose leaf presentation
No, it's not.
with your bubble letters?
Yeah, you like that.
I love that was your cover. Yes,
I think so.
on loose leaf.
On
I don't know why that
put
just.
it inside like the clear binder.
Sure.
That's what I did.
Yeah, but I mean, you still could have used a piece of white paper and put holes in it.
I don't know. I swear my life.
I don't know why that cracked me up so much.
That's funny. Yeah. Somebody, Amber today, said something you said to me before. She was doing trombone, and I was like, "Oh, you're doing trumpet," because she was doing like every other.
And she told you how horrible of a name that is?
Yeah, and she said, "Well, that's not how you play the trombone." and I said something like kind of back to her, and I'm like, that probably came off smart, and I didn't mean to say that way. I'm like, well, that's not how you play the trumpet either. Because so she was doing this. I'm like, well, trumpet's like that, but I was not trying to be smart. But that is a poor task. I wish we. And trumpet, plate shake, and trombone all came because plate shake was just supposed to be essentially what trombone is now. Mm-hmm. We used to have a bully and a pipsqueak.
In all the in what's messing trumpet up is these marching bands who doing this.
Or trombone.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're playing their trombone like this. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, we're not in drumline.
How crazy is it that people do we came up with something where people do exercises and then they interpret it, like the name of it. Okay, it looks like this, so I'm going to do that. I don't know. It's just really crazy.
And then to that, you have Arachnid and Anaconda who get confused all the time, and they're not even the same. The things, I mean.
That's the thing. People need to know what vocabulary we're talking about. And if some did, they would be like, "Oh, I get the task now." You know? But that's not true of all of them. Like a lichen. I don't know why I even named it that, but it's been interesting. It's only been 8 years, and I'm hoping 8 years from now when we're still doing this and there's more locations, we'll look back and be like, okay, yeah, there's our list of 500 exercises and concrete descriptions. But for the time being, I think it's enjoyable to be able to change things.
Sure.
And I just hope that the other folks, especially the pros, are not like pulling their hair out because they're like, what the heck? I mean, yesterday it was this, and tomorrow it's, it's going to be different. But I think it's important to be able to evaluate it properly.
I concur.
Well, I mean, we're good, right? Is there anything? We talked about the save, but I think that was off air. That was
Well, there's probably been multiple saves since it's 9:30 and the game started at 8.
thank God for DVR.
I'm just going in. I'm not gonna. I didn't.
Oh, really?
I'm just gonna go watch it.
See, I actually like to watch it on DVR all the time, just so I can fast forward through. I like Don Cherry. I like to watch him.
But you might miss Shaggy and Sting.
Dude, I had no. That's so funny you sent me that picture too.
What do you think I'm doing in Washington yesterday?
That was a pretty. I was like, Meredith, I just said something to Joe. I was like, oh, I didn't know you got like. I'm like, you got nice seats, front row tickets to see Shaggy and Sting. I did see the Smithsonian.
I mean,
thing
it's
in the back.
clearly a picture of an entertainment center.
I didn't see that. Like,
I mean, I
maybe
kind of
in a-
cropped it, but I mean,
yeah.
you could see you could see
Right.
Samsung in the picture, I think,
Yeah.
unless I cropped it out. But
So yeah, I can be pretty gullible at times.
I wasn't even trying to
No,
pretend I was there.
I know you weren't. And then
You
I didn't-
understand why I sent that, right?
Oh, because I was annoyed that he kept being played on Spotify
Right, yeah.
over and over again. Yeah, it's funny.
And I
Because
had
thought it
nothing to
was
do-
Jared
and
Leto,
I
and I'm
really-
like, Sting. Yeah, that was just maybe an airheaded moment for me.
And I did have nothing to do with that.
With what? Oh,
The
because I figured it out. It was released, and then somehow it was dragged into the queue and just kept playing on the
Gotcha.
queue. So.
anyway.
Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. I know it's going to probably be a little while before we shoot our next one. And if you guys want to subscribe, please do so at the bottom of this and let us know what you want to hear next. Thanks.